I learned integrity from my parents, that living a good life is not about being wealthy or powerful. It's about being honest and doing what you say you're going to do.
When something doesn't go your way, you just got to adjust. You've got to dig deep and work like crazy. And that's when you'll find out what you're really made of during those hard times. Our circumstances didn't define us. And that if we believed in ourselves, if we made the most of every single opportunity, we could build our own destinies and accomplish anything we put our minds to.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to chart your own course, be honest, and build your community with Michelle Obama and my take on her top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule #1. Chart your own course.
At 6 a.m. every morning, I had to get on a city bus and ride for an hour, sometimes more, just to get to school. And I was willing to do that because I was willing to do whatever it took for me to go to college. I set my sights high. I decided I was going to Princeton, but I quickly realized that for me, a kid like me, getting into Princeton wasn't just going to happen on its own. See, I went to a great school, but at my school we had so many kids, so few guidance counselors. They were dealing with hundreds of students. So they didn't always have much time to help me personally get my applications together. Plus, I knew I couldn't afford to go on a bunch of college visits. I couldn't hire a personal tutor. I couldn't enroll in SAT prep classes. We didn't have the money. And then, get this. Some of my teachers straight up told me that I was setting my sights too high. They told me I was never going to get into a school like Princeton. And I still hear that doubt ringing in my head. So it was clear to me that nobody was going to take my hand and lead me to where I needed to go. Instead, it was going to be up to me to reach my goal. I would have to chart my own course.
Rule #2, be honest.
I learned respect from how my parents cared for my great aunt and uncle. How my mother would wake up in the middle of the night to check on my great aunt. How my father would prop himself up against the bathroom sink each morning, leaning hard on his crutches to give my great uncle a shave. I learned integrity from my parents, that living a good life is not about being wealthy or powerful. It's about being honest and doing what you say you're going to do. It's about how you act when no one is watching, and whether you're the same person on the outside as you are on the inside.
Rule #3, build your community.
And when I arrived at Princeton, the whole college experience was a mystery to me. I was sleeping in a room with strangers, and as I looked around at all the other students who had come from wealthy families and were 3rd and 4th generation Princetonians, I didn't always feel like I fit in. I was a little lonely at times, and so what I understood was that I needed to build a community of my own, right? So I worked hard to make new friends in my classes and at the campus cultural center. I reached out to professors and administrators around campus, and soon enough, I had built a wonderful group of friends and supporters that became my family away from home. And I relied on that family probably as heavily as you rely on your family, stopping by folks' rooms when I was bored, calling up folks when I needed to vent, leaning on them when I was anxious or down or just plain tired. And what I know now is that I would not have made it through that college period without that group of people by my side.
Rule number 4, never give up.
Think about one of my heroines, Marion Wright Edelman, class of 1960, working as a young civil rights lawyer down in Mississippi. Attorneys in judges' chambers refused to shake her hand. The sheriff locked the doors against her when she came to visit her clients in jail. She was always careful to leave the door open when she started her car in the morning. That way, if somebody had planted a car bomb, she'd had a chance of being injured rather than killed. But through it all, she continued to represent her clients. She continued to resist unjust laws with every fiber of her being. And then there's Janet Bragg, class of 1925, who was determined to be a pilot. When she was barred from flying out of segregated airports, she worked with her flying school classmates and instructors to build their own airfield. When she was rejected from the Women Air Force Service pilots because of her race, she enrolled in a civilian training program instead. And when she completed her training, but an instructor unfairly prevented her from receiving her license, she picked up and moved to Chicago, passed the exam, and became the first African-American woman to earn a commercial pilot's license. Of her experiences, she said, there were so many things they said women couldn't do and blacks couldn't do. Every defeat to me was a challenge. For 6 generations, that is what Spelman women have done. They have seen every defeat as a challenge. Now, did they have moments of doubt, anxiety, and fear? Did they have moments of despair when they thought about giving up or giving in? Well, of course they did. We all do. And I am no exception.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
I want you all to stay true to the most real, most sincere, most authentic parts of yourselves. Doubts don't go away. You just learn how to deal with them.
First of all, you got to be open to taking some risks and not being afraid to fail.
Rule number 5, ask for help.
There were times when I felt lonely and overwhelmed during my freshman year. And what I want you to remember is if that happens to you, I want you to keep pushing forward. Just keep pushing forward. And I want you to reach out and ask for help. I know your teachers tell you that all the time, but please understand that no one gets through college or life for that matter alone. No one. I certainly didn't. So the minute you feel like you're struggling, the minute, I want you to ask for help. Don't wait. Seek out a professor you trust. Go to the writing center or the counseling center. Talk to older students who know the ropes and can give you some advice. And if the first person you ask isn't friendly or helpful, then ask a second person, and then a third and a fourth. My point is, keep asking until you get the answers you need to get you back on track.
Rule number 6, put yourself in a position to fail.
When I got to college, that happened to me during my very first semester. I took a class on Greek mythology. Yes, Greek mythology. That was way over my head. I found myself sitting in a lecture hall full of juniors and seniors. How did I get there? Struggling just to keep up. And by the time I took the midterm exam, all I could muster was a C. And it was the very first C I'd ever gotten, and I was devastated. But instead of wilting, I found a way to fight through it. I poured my heart and soul into a paper. I spent a lot of time talking to the professors before and after class. And in the end, I ended up getting a good grade in that class. But what I learned was far more important than that letter grade from that experience. What I learned was that when something doesn't go your way, you just got to adjust. You've got to dig deep and work like crazy. And that's when you'll find out what you're really made of during those hard times. But you can only do that if you're willing to put yourself in a position where you might fail. And that's why so often failure is the key to success for so many great people. Take Steve Jobs, who was fired from Apple early in his career. And now his iPods and iPads and iPhones have revolutionized the entire world. Oprah was demoted from her first job as a news anchor. Now she doesn't even need a last name. And then there's this guy, Barack Obama, who lost I could take up a whole afternoon talking about his failures, but he lost his first race for Congress, and now he gets to call himself my husband.
Rule number 7, have strong values.
My parents worked hard to pay the bills and to keep a roof over our heads. But even though my parents couldn't give us material things, they gave us something much more precious. They gave me and my brother strong values. They taught us to treat others with dignity and respect. They taught us to push for excellence in every single thing we did. They taught us to be humble and to be grateful for everything we had. They taught us to put every last bit of effort into our education and to take pride in our work. They taught us that our circumstances didn't define us, and that if we believed in ourselves, if we made the most of every single opportunity, we could build our own destinies and accomplish anything we put our minds to.
Rule number 8, find your passion.
I didn't find my passion until long after college. Heck, until after law school. I mean, the truth is I still spent way too much of my time at Princeton continuing to chase grades and check boxes and climb higher and higher. I went on to law school, I did the same thing. And by the time I was in my mid-20s, I had everything I was told I should want. Fancy job at a prestigious law firm, a big office, a nice paycheck. But on the inside, something was missing. And so, after a few knocks, I finally asked myself some big questions, simple questions. What did I want out of my life? What makes me happy? What do I care about? Yeah, simple questions that I had never bothered to ask, too busy checking boxes. And soon I realized that what I really wanted was pretty simple. I wanted to give back to the people around me, to the world around me. I wanted to live my life by the principle that to whom much is given, much is expected. So, for me, that led me to quit that fancy job. And since then, I've dedicated my life to giving back. I've worked to train young people for careers in public service. I've started community outreach programs at a college and a hospital. And today, as First Lady, I'm working to honor our nation's military families and help our children grow up healthy. But as I look back, I wish I'd asked myself what I really wanted when I was sitting right where you are. So graduates, my message to all of you today is this: do not waste a minute living someone else's dream. Each of us has unique gifts. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of real work to discover what brings you joy. It just doesn't happen. It requires you spending some time, and you won't find what you love simply by checking boxes or padding your GPA. You won't figure it out only by listening to your guidance counselor, your friends, or even your parents. You can only find your passion by looking inside yourself.
Rule number 9, pursue higher education.
When Barack came in office, one of the very first things he did was to set what he calls a North Star goal for the entire country. That by the year 2020, the year that all of you will be graduating from college, that this country will have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world. Now, Barack set this goal because as a generation ago, we were #1 in college graduates. But over the past couple of decades, this country has slipped all the way to 12th. We've slipped. And that's unacceptable. And we've got a lot of work to do to turn that around and get back on top. But Barack didn't just set that goal because it's good for our country. He did it because he knows how important higher education is to all of you as individuals. Because when the year 2020 rolls around, nearly 2/3 of all jobs in this country are going to require some form of training beyond high school. Now that means whether it's a vocational program, community college, a 4-year university, you all are going to need some form of higher education in order to build the kind of lives that you want for yourselves, good careers, to be able to provide for your families.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
President Obama, my name is Stella. I'm 5 years old. This is my song. La 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 la. What's yours?
Yeah, what's yours?
Stella,
You can't
I
do
can't
that.
perform like that. You
wanna
clearly
do it?
have some talent.
But you should try.
No.
Come on, Stella.
Stella,
Try it.
listen,
Try it.
I can't.
What's your song?
I can't sing like that.
La
But,
la 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 la. Come on.
well, there you go.
That was,
The First Lady was pretty good.
yeah.
Do your best Barack Obama impression.
Oh, well, let me tell you, I have 3 points. 1, and then there's 2, and finally, 3.
That's a good one. All right.
You didn't do your best Barack Obama impression.
Oh, well, I don't really do impressions. I'm really bad at impressions. Do you have a nickname that you like to be called?
Mish.
What is something that you love that everyone else doesn't?
Kale.
Who are you better friends with, me or Oprah? I know,
Ellen.
Oprah. No, my spouse gives the best.
He's the best at everything.
Oh, that's a good answer.
What about you?
She's the best at everything.
Well done.
When you're alone, what do you talk to your dogs about? Do you talk to your dogs?
Oh, gosh, yes. How's your day? What are you doing? What do you have? Did you bring me a bone? What did Dad do? Oh, we have long conversations.
Yeah.
What do you talk to your dogs about?
It's usually, what's that on your butt? Let me come here. Let me get that. What do you do that makes your daughters laugh?
Imitate their father.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Michelle Obama on how to go big that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. How can you put yourself in a position to fail? Number 2, what will you never give up on? And number 3, how can you better build your community this week? And if you made it this far in a video, I wanna celebrate you. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
Every day, students like Minbera and Roger and all of you are proving that it is not your circumstance that defines your future. It's your attitude. It's your commitment. You decide how high you set your goals. You decide how hard you're going to work for those goals. You decide how you're going to respond when something doesn't go your way. And here's the thing. Studies show that those kinds of skills like grit, determination, skills like optimism and resilience, those skills can be just as important as your test scores or your grade scores or your grades. And so many of you already have those skills because of everything you've already overcome in your lives. Maybe you've had problems at home and you've had to step up, take on extra responsibilities for your family. Maybe you come from a tough neighborhood and you've been surrounded by things like violence and drugs. Maybe one of your parents has lost a job and you've had to struggle just to make it here today. One of the most important things you all must understand about yourselves is that those experiences are not weaknesses. They're not something to be ashamed of. Experiences like those can make you stronger and more determined. They can teach you all kinds of skills that you could never learn in a classroom. The skills that will lead you to success anywhere in life.
If you want 10 more rules from Tony Robbins, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.